telling me, man, call it Thursday, call it Saturday. But once I take the characters' names, it becomes.
Letting me know, man, call it Thursday. Call it Saturday right yet. When I take the characters' names, definitely we needed to pay him 12 million bucks to do that film. He said it was for strict reasons. He would have rather not cussed. And he would have rather not partaken in weed on camera. I mean, yet I'm happy he didn't do it on the grounds that in a stunning meeting, Ice Shape dropped a bomb when he pummeled Chris Exhaust for deceiving him during next Friday. I think regardless of whether we concur right, that doesn't have anything to do with it. As a matter of fact, Chris Exhaust shot right back yet. When they didn't have any idea what I was doing, when I was realizing what I was how I was simply fabricating myself as developing. So it seems like Ice 3D Square isn't letting Chris Exhaust free for this yet. How did Chris Exhaust sell out Ice 3D shape? And what shall 3D Square need to say regarding it? Stay close by right till the finish to figure out the universe of Hollywood is no more unusual to contentions and errors. And the crack between Ice Solid Shape and Chris Exhaust over the movie next Friday is a demonstration of that the famous entertainers known for their dynamic on-screen science wound up at chances when Exhaust chose to back away from the spin-off. This choice affected the direction of the movie, as well as impacted Exhaust's vocation. When Chris Exhaust chose not to return for the continuation of the famous movie Friday, it sent swells through Hollywood. The choice was unforeseen, particularly given the progress of the first movie in the certain science between its lead entertainers Ice Block and Chris Exhaust. The movie's fans, as well as those inside the business, were abandoned pondering the reasons such an astonishing move. It was Ice Solid Shape who previously shed light on this secret in a sincere meeting, yet when they didn't have the foggiest idea what I was doing, when I was realizing what I was how I was upbuilding myself as Ice Solid Shape, a multi-layered craftsman known for his straightforwardness, didn't avoid examining the issue. He uncovered that the makers were prepared to offer Chris Exhaust a powerful total, assessed between $10 to 12 million bucks to repeat his job in next Friday. Such a sum was characteristic of Exhaust's significance to the movie, and the exclusive standards encompassing the continuation anyway, to the wonder of numerous to Exhaust, declined the proposition. Now the explanation for Exhaust's choice was profoundly private, and established in his strict convictions. Ice Block uncovered this in his meeting. It seems to be this opened a window into the struggle under the surface that Exhaust could have been encountering for the vast majority entertainers. The characters they depict on screen are discrete from their own lives anyway. For Exhaust, the lines appeared to obscure Ice Shape, additionally expounded on Exhaust reasons, expressing he would have rather not cussed, and he would have rather not partaken in weed on camera. This was a huge disclosure considering Exhaust's personality. Smokey in the first Friday movie was known for his comedic shenanigans, which frequently elaborate partaking in weed. I truly is for us around here, as that is the way Friday sort of end, and became like Yo Ice Solid Shape's disclosures, brought to the cutting edge the difficulties entertainers frequently face in accommodating their own convictions with the requests of their job's Exhaust personality. Smokey was a fan number one, and his communications with Ice Shape's personality were key to the movie's humor and allure the person's propensity for partaking in weed. And his silly discourse, frequently weighed down with cuss words, were essential to his persona anyway. As Exhaust's own convictions developed, he wound up in conflict with Smokey's personality qualities. I'm attempting to get it out of Warner siblings. They don't put stock in the way of life, man. You understand what I'm talking about. They don't accept, so they own the privileges to Friday. You say, well, they reserve the option to disperse the development, according to Ice 3D Shape's viewpoint. While he regarded Exhaust's choice, there was a hidden feeling of dissatisfaction. The pair's on-screen fellowship was a critical draw for the crowd, and Exhaust's non-appearance would without a doubt affect the elements of the spin-off. In addition, the deal made to Exhaust highlighted the maker's strong fascination with holding the first cast to reproduce the wizardry of the primary movie now. When Exhaust chose not to return for its spin-off The Gossip Factory went into overdrive many accepted, it was because of monetary conflicts, while others conjectured about possible fractures between the cast individuals anyway. In a genuine discussion, Exhaust put any misinformation to rest, tending to the genuine purposes for his choice and revealing insight into his own excursion during that period. In a meeting with RB legend Eddie Levered, Exhaust was inquired as to why he hadn't returned for the continuations of Friday, since he wasn't satisfactorily made up for the main movie dissipating this fantasy. Exhaust explained that cash was not the issue. He affectionately reviewed the time, saying the principal Friday, "I was so cheerful I got that film." Since I knew about the way things planned, to help my profession, he thought back about his initial days, visiting from one state to another, and how Friday was the cutting edge he had been hanging tight for the movie, just turned into a clique exemplary, as well as made critical film industry progress, earning $274 million bucks. Overall one anyway. The core of Exhaust's choice was somewhere else. He communicated profound worries about the social effect and impact of his personality, Smokey Exhaust, uncovered in those days. "I must explain to you one reason why I didn't do the subsequent one was a direct result of the weed. Since I resembled man, that film turned into a peculiarity. I don't need everyone partaking in weed." He stressed that he would have rather not been the perfect example for weed, and felt a moral obligation toward the message he was conveying to the crowd. For Exhaust, the personality of Smokey turned out to be something beyond a job. It turned into an impression of the qualities he was supporting. We needed him. He turned it down. You realize we needed to pay him $12 million bucks to do that film. Exhaust's excursion of self-reflection and profound development assumed a urgent part in this choice. He referenced that he had pursued the decision more private than pretty much the film. This opinion resounded with his prior explanations, where he communicated his longing to develop as an entertainer and take on assorted jobs. He'd shared his yearnings, saying, "I generally needed to work effectively," and continue to move to the following film. Exhaust desires drove him to chip away at different ventures like Cash Talks and the universally fruitful Busy Time series, while Ice Shape had moved toward Exhaust for a continuation of Friday. Back in the last part of the 90s, Exhaust's vision for his vocation was clear. He needed to step the way of legends like Eddie Murphy, consistently testing himself and investigating new skylines anyway. He additionally recognized Ice 3D Shape's comprehension and regard for his choice, referencing that Shape generally kept the entryway open for a potential return. Chris Exhaust's choice to not repeat his job in Next Friday was a critical defining moment for the establishment. His depiction of Smokey had become inseparable from the movie, and his non-attendance was substantial. The void left by Exhaust was filled by entertainer Mike Epps, who played the personality of Day-Day Ice, 3D Shape's cousin, in the spin-off. While Epps brought his own special energy and comedic timing to the job, correlations among Smokey and Day were unavoidable. Epps confronted the difficult errand of venturing into an establishment that had, as of now, he laid out its comedic tone and fan base to a great extent because of Exhaust's notable presentation. Unhappy he didn't do it, better believe it, since he wouldn't have no work. Epps Day was an alternate sort of character with his own eccentricities and comedic minutes, while he figured out how to cut a specialty for him, and was generally welcomed by numerous. The dynamic between Ice Solid Shape's personality and Day was unmistakably not quite the same as that of Smokey. The continuation Next Friday, while effective, had an alternate energy, and the shortfall of the Smokey person was felt by fans and pundits. The same past the projecting changes. The Friday establishment confronted different difficulties. One of the critical issues was with Warner siblings Ice Block, who had acted in, as well as composed and coordinated a few movies for the studio, and wound up in a disagreement about the responsibility for Friday Motion Pictures. The conflict stretched out to different movies, like About the Benjamins and Players Club, which Ice Shape had critical innovative contribution in the fight with Warner Media. feature the intricacies and difficulties specialists face in holding possession and command over their imaginative works. Such questions highlight the significance of specialists having something to do with the leg and fate of their manifestations. Chris Exhaust's process post Friday was one of contemplation and self-revelation. His rest from Hollywood was a break from going about as well as a time of self-awareness, venturing to the far corners of the planet and encountering various societies gave Exhaust a more extensive point of view on life. And his job as a craftsman, his acknowledgement that his vocation was about him, as well as about the effect he had on his crowd, exhibits the profundity of his personality. In spite of confronting monetary provokes and individual battles, Exhaust's obligation to his